podcast beat. Steven! Is there anything more annoying than
Nope.
Dak Prescott at the line of scrimmage? You already knew what I was going to say. Dak Prescott at the line of scrimmage going, what is it? Here we go.
You got to elongate the go.
Here we go.
Yeah, the go part. Here we go.
Oh, you're right. You're totally right.
Ugh, it's the worst. Yeah, here we go.
It is the most awkward cadence I've ever seen at the line of scrimmage. And it was annoying the crap out of me on Thanksgiving Day, and I forgot to bring it up. But now watching the Seahawks and Cowboys game, which, by the way, how did Dallas score the second touchdown? I missed it. I saw the CeeDee Lamb touchdown.
I don't know. I didn't see that one either. I was talking a little shit in the chat over you. So
About me?
Yeah.
Well, we've kept our loyal fans, the Ernies, the AJ Cruzes, everybody, the porn bots, for too long because we were supposed to do the show yesterday, and I'll get to it all. But just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford. Stephen, you going to say something?
Yeah, shout out to the porn bots that put us on the Spotify Rap Top 5. And I do remember the touchdown. It was to Brandon Cooks, so I did see it.
Fuck, I left him on my bench again.
Oh well. I'm kind of disappointed in you, Derek.
How so?
Well, because in our illustrious fantasy football league, the Tickle My Butthole League.
Yes.
God, that name. You were in last a lot of last year, and I gave you a lot of grief last season. You were in last. What you were doing was trying to avoid the dreaded chug, because we end up setting a chug to the group if we get the lowest score of the week.
Still avoided that this whole season.
So have I. It feels like it's actually been the same 2 or 3 people, but I have been dead last all season, and you haven't said a peep. Not a thing about it.
Well, Steven, your team, the replacements, I want to say they're called.
Yes.
Do suck.
Thanks.
But unlike you, I choose not to make fun of people when their team also sucks. So I've been the bigger man, if not said anything. But you best believe if you do a chug, I'm fucking putting you on blast.
That's fair.
Yeah.
What do we got? 1 more week in the season? 2 more weeks?
For fantasy football, I think we got 2, 3.
2. All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah. 2 more weeks to not get the lowest score.
I cannot believe we're already this point in the NFL season.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, ain't it?
And I really don't like having us do a podcast during a football game, but it is what it is. We got Seahawks and Cowboys going. Right now, the Cowboys lead 17-7. Just so everybody knows, me and Steven did pick this game before it started. I took the Cowboys. They were favored by 9, and the over-under was 47.5. I took the Cowboys. I laid the points, but I like that under. While you like Dallas to win, you like Seattle to cover, and you also like the under.
Mm-hmm.
So we will monitor that game as it's going on. We got Warriors tipping off in probably about an hour or so, less than that, 45 minutes. Between the Clippers, and boy, those Clippers suck right now. Even when they play against the Nuggets and Jokic and Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon don't play, they still somehow lose. But we'll see how it goes tonight because the Warriors will be without Gary Payton. They will be without Andrew Wiggins because he slammed his index finger in a car door. I've been there before. That sucks.
Oh,
but we needed him tonight. We'll see how it goes. Maybe more minutes for Moses Moody, as Steve Kerr has said. He wished he played him more down the stretch against the Sacramento Kings. CP3 is out also. We'll see what the severity of all their injuries will be. I think we're getting a timetable. Warriors do their usual PR thing of contusions and whatnot, and then we'll reevaluate them and everything. But we'll go over the Warriors a little bit here. So yeah, I wanted to do the podcast last night. Some dude was walking around the tracks at BART, which delayed me. And honestly, I'm happy that took a day to reevaluate things because yesterday was kind of tough. I'll just make this brief. I work at KNBR, and a lot of people were laid off yesterday. I know John Dickinson has come over, and I miss him, and I'm glad we're reunited, and I can play the song again, but it's not lost on me, all the people that lost their jobs yesterday. So to Paulie Mack, to FP Santangelo, to Eric Engel, who did a great job producing their morning show, and all the people that were in digital, I wish you nothing but the best going forward. So just wanted to say that.
Yeah. Yep, it's always a rough day when you see that sort of thing. I'm glad JD is doing the Warriors coverage for KMBR, but just feel bad for him that the song has to be back in his life. I think that he secretly wants it. He's never told me this, but my guess is that he was pretty happy that that song hadn't been played for the years that it was just stowed away in some random computer drive folder, but now he gets it back and it's back with a vengeance. Immediately, as soon as I open up Instagram and I see KBR and I see JD, I hear the song in the background. It's back.
Yep, tough shit. You working with me again? You're gonna hear the song. All right. So let's go over a lot because we haven't done a show since last Thanksgiving. The day after Thanksgiving. And we went over all the Thanksgiving games. We haven't gone over what happened week 12. We got a lot to do tonight, so let's get to it. We'll save the preview for Eagles and Niners for Saturday because we got a lot of time to talk about that. But before we get to football, Steven, I barely beat you. Just by one.
Oh.
You got your hot sauce ready?
I forgot. I mean, I got it ready. I got it here. I do not have... I need something to eat it with. I am not doing that one thing the other night that we did where it was just a mess. Hang on, I got a bag of chips right up.
All right. Take your time.
I'm coming.
All right, so I barely beat Steven. I think it was 29-28. I got the margin of victory. If only Steven had taken the over or the under in the Bears and Vikings game, which that was a shit show.
Wait, the under had to have hit.
Sorry. Yes, you should have taken the under. You took the over.
Oh, why did I take the over? Idiot.
You idiot. So yeah, we will get into all the football stuff. But before we do that, I just wanted to get to the Warriors because they've been struggling. They barely got out of that game against Wembanyama and the Spurs, and then everything that happened with Draymond Green. What'd you make of his comments, real quick, Steven? Did you think that Draymond Green was obviously not remorseful, but I don't know. It's the same song and dance every time where it's, I got to be better for my teammates, but I'm not going to change. So I really don't know what's going to change there.
You mentioned it perfectly. Aerosmith, same song and dance. Like we've heard it before. We've seen him get suspended. We've seen him go on these little apology tours. Players and coaches have to answer for it. It's just a mess every time. It's something that you have to live with, and you just got to take it. What I made of his comments, was I surprised that he didn't express remorse? No, because I feel like he was doing the right thing in defending his teammate, but he also didn't acknowledge that there was a little animosity towards Rudy Gobert. Nobody puts anybody in a headlock like that and bites their front lip like they're, kicking out a funky bass line like Draymond Green was.
Yeah. Wait, funky bass. Sorry. I got a call during. Wait, sorry. What about the bass line? What now?
It said nobody puts somebody in a headlock like that while biting their bottom lip, looking like he's kicking off a funky bass line as he's holding on to Gobert's neck. Just picking up a little bit.
Yeah, just let the fingers do the talking all day long, baby.
Yeah.
Let that G come in. G, Gobert.
But no remorse, whatever. He served his 5 games. He's probably not going to change. He ended up getting that technical foul against the Kings, which they literally said after the game that Mike Brown told them, hey, wait for them to do something. He didn't name Draymond specifically, but you know that if you're talking about a specific player, then it's probably Draymond. So it's not going to change. And right now, the Warriors, they are unraveling as we speak. But Draymond's comments didn't like him.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the same thing. So I don't know what to make of it. Draymond's going to be Draymond. He's emboldened to the team right now because he's got or the team's emboldened to him just because they gave him the contract. So he's, what does he have to change? They pretty much, said they're not giving him a pass because Steve Kerr was upset with his actions, but I don't think anything's going to change. He's got the contract. Why would he change anything at this point? He's won 4 championships. He said a long time ago he was going to learn from the 2016 suspension, but nothing happened.
And
What
it's
did you
pretty
make of?
cool.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
What were you gonna ask? Because I
I
think I
was
was
going to
gonna
ask.
answer.
I was going to ask, what did you think of Clay Thompson's comment?
Yeah. So I was actually gonna tie them both in. Damn, come on, man. We're wearing the same shirt, so we're thinking the same things. Well,
That's a phrase.
well, I'd say that
Same brain,
Clay.
same shirt.
I'd say Draymond kind of knows who he is, and I think Clay Thompson's kind of in denial right now about who he is. That that press conference when
Yeah.
he's saying to like I don't correct me if I'm wrong, but Tim Kawakami in the question that he asked did not refer to benching him. He was simply asking about the patience
Yes.
shown by Steve Kerr with the starting five amid shooting struggles. So he didn't even mention being benched. And then he goes on to say later that he doesn't pay attention to anybody. Why would he pay attention to anybody? They don't do what we do. Yet you just said you hadn't heard, but you're also talking about him and Wiggs being benched, which is like the hot take for every Warrior fan. So yeah, what I saw from Draymond is a guy that we kind of have to accept. And I think Clay Thompson, I think what we saw is a guy who needs to kind of accept the reality of where he's at in his career. And I feel terrible for saying that. I don't even like want to tell anybody how they have to think because it's just sad seeing what Clay's doing right now. At least he, put up 20 or whatever it was against the Kings, but that was all in the first half, right? So,
Yeah.
So that presser was really, it was an eye opener. He kind of lost his cool.
It was the same thing as flashing forward to Devin Booker. It's Clay's insecurity comes out more and more now, and I completely understand because he's been through a lot. His rehab of the torn ACL and the torn Achilles happened through a COVID time, so I don't know what he was going through mentally, but it seems to be coming out more and more when he's diminishing as a player, and it's kind of sad to see the carefree Clay kind of go away. He cares too much about what people say. That all rhymed. Like Charles Barkley a year ago, he, in the press conference, he says to Tim Kawakami very clearly, I don't care what people think about me. I never care what people think about me. Next question.
Yeah.
And it's clear that he cares what people think about him. When you bring up unprompted, you want to bench me and Wiggs? I mean, come on, Clay.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks also to Steve's comments after the game, which they blew the 24-point lead to the Kings. He did admit that he should have had Moses Moody play down the stretch and have Clay be benched. And I'm sure he's not happy about that, but that's the reality. Moses Moody was playing well. And Steve, I give him credit, man. When he knows he's wrong, he admits it. So people can bash him with his lineups. The guy's won 4 championships, way more as a player. I never understand the grief that Warriors fans give Steve Kerr, but
yeah, I saw that from our guy Sam from Warriors World. He said that Kerr's been kind of talking about this stuff for the past decade. Sure, he's taken accountability, but at some point something has to give. Well, in the past decade, they've won all those championships, and it's been okay to give them a pass. This year, though, I don't think it's really that okay to just say, yeah, you can, do the whole thing where you admit fault and then we just move on. But eventually something's got to change. And really, we need to see that put into action where he's not afraid to actually use these younger players. Like yesterday, even take the Moses Moody out of it, like seeing Corey Joseph get minutes when Brandon Pajemski's out there busting his ass as a rookie every night. And Kerr's talked about all the little things that he does in terms of feel for the game, understanding, where to be and how to conduct himself as an NBA player. Yet you're not going to play him over Corey Joseph when, a guard could have been played in that situation. It's those little things. It's a conundrum that he puts himself in, and maybe he does overthink things, and who knows? It's hindsight's 2020, right? We can do all the judging we want when something doesn't go right, but if he all of a sudden puts Pajemski in that game, does anything change? Does Pajemski light it up? I don't know. But there are just these little things that here and there where, I don't know, at some point he has to recognize that these younger players on the team, this is the future that you need to build around now. And that Kings game was bad. That Kings game was
Yeah.
really bad. That's one of the worst losses I've seen in quite a while.
I mean, I agree. Going from, having a 24-point lead, having a 17-point lead at halftime, playing as good as they did in the first half, they looked great. They were shooting threes. Steph, Clay, and Wiggins, and even Draymond were great offensively. And then, as Steph put it, they ran out of gas. They blew the lead. They lose 124 to 123. And, I didn't give two shits about scoring 12 or more to advance to the in-season tournament. I would love for them to have won the game, but won by 10, and then we wouldn't have to be in the in-season tournament. You agree?
No, I kind of like this in-season tournament. I'm not going to lie to you.
All right.
I've come around on it. These games, a lot more competitive than they were. You've said it yourself. You don't really pay attention to the NBA too much around this time because we got football going on.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people kind of are like you in that sense. But the reason why people don't watch is because these games don't have that competitive fire that they normally do in February, March, April. And what we saw, despite the loss, despite everything that the Warriors did, despite the mistakes from Steve Kerr, and despite the, I don't know, Draymond antics, whatever, what you saw were two teams. Sure, there was some, a little bit of that baggage from last year and everything from the playoff series that added into it, but they were really, really going hard, going hard in the paint, so to speak. Shout out to Waka Flocka Flame. They really were. And I thoroughly enjoyed that game. And I think there were a lot of just high intensity games here in November. And it seems like these players really do want to play for this. So
Yeah.
I'm in it. I'm in on it. It seems to have worked.
I'm just speaking for myself.
Yes.
I don't doubt that this thing has garnered more eyeballs and more viewership and more intensity in the games. Yes, that was probably the best basketball game I've watched this season, and I haven't watched a lot, so that's not a large sample size. But it felt like a playoff game, and it's funny that Stan Van Gundy is asking Steve Kerr, "So you guys trying to win by 12 tonight?" And he's like, "I'm just trying to win the game." And then in the end, they didn't win the game. I just think for the Warriors standpoint, they won 4 championships. I don't care about this in-season tournament. The reality is they just need to get back on track. They're 8-10, and I'm not going to go with the whole. They did look sluggish down the stretch there. They did look old. They did look slow. But does that mean that they're too old and slow to compete anymore? I don't know. I think they've looked old and slow last season. I think they've looked old and slow to begin some championship seasons, and they just need to get their feet up underneath them. So I'm not going to freak out yet. I know Charles Barkley said they're cooked. I disagree. It's very early in the season. I know a lot of people are throwing out there, do they miss Jordan Poole? I think they miss a Jordan Poole type, but they don't miss the man Jordan Poole, because Jordan Poole did bring something off the bench, but we all know what Jordan Poole brought along with the baggage, but also just a plethora of turnovers, which the Warriors are good for themselves, but you need a younger scoring option. And I know a lot of people are like, Mark Spears suggested Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan or OG Anunoby or Karl Anthony Towns, but I doubt the T-Wolves want to give him up right now. You'd have to give up a hefty haul to get those players, and I don't know if that's feasible right now. So maybe the Warriors are in the twilight of their careers. Maybe they can't compete with the Nuggets and the Suns and the better teams of the West. They do have a hard time closing out games, like I said, against the Spurs, and they blew the lead against the Kings. But I really just think it's also very early in the season, and they may just be a play-in team this season. They may be a playoff team. Who knows? I do think Steph Curry is fine. I think, we'll see about Klay Thompson. We'll see about Andrew Wiggins. I have faith in Draymond just when he's on the court, not freaking out. But we'll see. I'm not ready to freak out over 18 games into the NBA season.
It is early, but they've regressed. There's been a regression. There's no doubt about it. And the players you needed progress from, the players you needed to step up. Well, one of them has, and that's Moses Moody, but
Yes.
Steve Kerr just doesn't know when to play him. And the other one, Jonathan Kuminga, like, he's a terrific scoring option, but does he do everything else well? Like, I haven't really heard many people pining for Jonathan Kuminga to get extended minutes. As a matter of fact, I've seen times where they're saying, like, what's the point of playing Jonathan Kuminga when you have Trace Jackson Davis back there? And Jackson Davis has proven to be a pretty capable player. So you haven't seen Kuminga take that next step up where he's that automatic 6th, 7th man. Like, you needed those guys to really step in there and fill that role, and they just haven't done that. And then you also combine that with Wiggins too. Wiggins is a huge part of it. I think a lot of people are expecting Wiggins to kind of just revive his career after what happened last year, but he just hasn't looked the same either. Although he's picked it up a little bit, but they've regressed. There's no doubt, but anything can happen in a season. That's kind of what we have to bank on, I think.
Anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, you remember that song.
Yes.
You probably have raved at that song.
Correct.
Okay, we'll see about the Warriors. I think they'll be fine. We'll just we'll see where it goes.
The Golden State Warriors.
Yes,
because it's Ellie Goulding.
Oh, I didn't know that was her. I don't know. I just remember that song, but I couldn't tell you who sung it. All right, let's talk about some football, and let's get a little hot sauce on your mouth, Steven.
Oh, jeez. All right, forgot about that.
All right,
it's right there in front of me, and I've been looking at it.
Raiders lose 31-17 to the Kansas City Chiefs. They started out well, 14-0, and then they were outscored 31-3. Surprising miss by Daniel Carlson, but that's not the story of the game by any means. It's just that the Chiefs have more talent, have better coaching, have a better quarterback, have a better everything. And despite how motivated the Raiders have been with Antonio Pierce, they played well the last 3 games prior to this game. They started off well, but in the end, 31-17, not great. They beat 2 anemic offenses in New York, and they played very well against the Miami Dolphins, but didn't get the victory. I think it's a bigger thing on the season and the team going forward when you watch this game. But Steven, I'll give you your time to talk after you eat this hot sauce.
This is a kettle chip, so this is going to get some good ASMR here.
Ooh, I love it. Let me hear
it. Here we go. That's okay. All right. Here we go.
Ooh. That was like a Lay's commercial. Steven, give us your thoughts.
This one's hotter than usual. That's a thin chip.
Yeah, you got to go with the pita chips because they absorb it more. God, you love putting your hands on your face after you eat hot sauce. It's so
sorry. All right. I'm going to say this about the Raider game. I didn't know what the hell happened. Like, all of a sudden, they just lost. They were rolling in the first half, and then it's just drive after drive. Mahomes, boom, Kelsey, boom, freaking Isaiah Pacheco. He's got really cool run. You know, he runs very violent. He has that look, like kind of like DK Metcalf, just where he's like bobbing his head like that. Ugh. Saliva coming in. Water. Need it. But where I'm at, here's where I'm at. Besides breaking down the game, because me and you kind of bickered back and forth about whether Antonio Pierce should have gone for it, kicked that field goal with Daniel Carlson in the first half. Didn't matter, though, in the end.
Yeah.
But the Raiders are in a situation that I was fearful of to start the season. Right now, they're in a place where they feel like they can win. The team feels like they can win, and I think they can. Chiefs are just a much better team.
Yeah.
They got Mahomes. Boom.
What are you, Jonathan Gannon?
But the Raiders
explosives
are seeming to be in a place where they're going to try and fight for the last playoff spot, and they might not get it. They could very well just end with the 8th or 9th seed, and then you just get a middle of the first round draft pick
and then you start from square one because all the quarterbacks are taken. Aiden O'Connell, he's fine, but he's not the guy. He's like a lesser Kirk Cousins. Like they got good players. I don't see Devontae Adams being here much longer. Like there's just the Raiders are not in a good situation right now, and I think this Chiefs loss really kind of amplified the noise around that because they're supposed to beat teams like the Chiefs. You're supposed to at least supposed to make it close, and the lack of talent came back to bite them. Plus, Max Crosby wasn't playing at 100%. He still got a sack, but their star player still wasn't playing at 100%.
Well, I commend him though for playing. Like he went from doubtful to that knee swelling up to him being out there. So I commend Max Crosby. He's having an all-pro season.
Totally.
And I thought Josh Jacobs played very well. That long touchdown run.
Oh, that was as fast as I've seen him look too.
Yeah,
I haven't seen him run that fast in a while. He didn't really have that breakaway speed. He was always barreling through people, but he never had that. Hey, you know what type of speed he had? Boom.
Well, that might have been his longest touchdown run as a Raider. I could be wrong there, but maybe. At least in what I remember in recent memory. It was just a reality check, and I think I said on the podcast before the game that I thought the Chiefs were going to come out. They looked sluggish to start, but then they got their groove back because they're champions. So when they lost that game to the Eagles, I thought they were going to beat up on the Raiders, and that's exactly what happened. They were down when they came back into it, but the reality is the Raiders play hard for Antonio Pierce, and they play hard for Aiden O'Connell, and they're one as a team right now, but it's not enough. They need a lot more. They can't compete with Mahomes, and they can't compete with Andy Reid with what they currently have. And I think it's a great story with Antonio Pierce being a lifelong Raider fan and then becoming the head coach of the team. But the reality is they need a quarterback and they need a coach that they can compete with in their own division. And let alone, the AFC. Like, I just don't think it's fair. I think Antonio Pierce may have a future in this league, but I think you need a guy that is a leader of men, but also can do the X's and O's and can scheme it up well enough against Andy Reid. Like you have arguably with the way things are going with Belichick right now, maybe the best coach in football in your own division. And things will change. I still think Sean Payton's a great coach. I know you think he's overrated, but I think he's definitely turning things around with the Broncos, and he's won a Super Bowl, so I give him a lot of respect. I think the Chargers are eventually going to change things this offseason and go with a different direction because Brandon Staley's not the answer. And then there's the Raiders. And the other AFC West teams have found their quarterbacks. The Raiders have not. I think Aiden O'Connell's good, but not great. And I think you need great in this league. I think he's fine as a backup quarterback. But to be the face of this franchise going forward, I don't think so. And they have talent on this team. They just need more of it. And I don't know what the answer is in the offseason when it comes to quarterbacks. I saw that report today. Who reported this with CJ Stroud? With Dave Ziegler?
Our guy.
Hondo Carpenter?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's the thing. Do we know if Hondo Carpenter's real?
He's real.
He's not an AI bot that was manufactured by SI?
He is a real Sports Illustrated person.
Okay, good, because you saw that story. That was ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. I also felt bad for the writers of Sports Illustrated. They said it was a third-party company which wrote that article. I don't know if I believe them fully, but some of them have really good writers, and they just, obviously the name was just kind of disparaged all week, and I feel bad for some of the good writers they have, but yeah, terrible.
Oh, yeah. So we have confirmation. Hondo's real.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank God. Because I don't want to be duped by an AI bot with all these great articles. Yeah, this goes back to my point that I made with Dave Ziegler maybe getting the axe too early. Dave Ziegler wanted to trade for CJ Stroud in the draft. And Josh McDaniels didn't want to do it. And I liked your tweet today earlier, Stephen, where you said, let's also not forget that the owner had a say in this as well. Because everyone saw David Tepper this week, and owners can veto anything. I'll get to that later. He's insane. But yeah, that could have solved your quarterback issues. I think they've won too many games to compete in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes or Drake May, or I don't know how scouts feel about Michael Penix. He's probably the Heisman favorite at this point, but we'll see when things go down in the draft. They need a coach. They need a real coach. Not to say that Antonio Pierce can't become a real coach in time, or a head coach, I should say. He's real. He's not an AI bot. But I just think they need a coach that they can really compete for change in the organization. I think that Antonio Pierce should stick around and be an assistant head coach, a linebacker coach. I like Patrick Graham when he's done with the defense. I thought it was necessary for them to cut Marcus Peters. He's definitely not the same player he used to be, and kind of laying tackle. So, yeah,
Yes.
he was kind of he reminded me of Sean Smith.
Yep.
So anyway, I just think that it was fun while it lasted. You got the cigars, you got the team camaraderie, but it's time to look for a quarterback and a head coach in the offseason.
Raiders were set back by a couple of years when John Gruden was gone. Now they've been set back by a couple of more with this hiring of McDaniels and Ziegler. Even more damning to me in that article, because CJ Stroud is the headliner and naturally, but even more damning to me was the fact that McDaniels wanted to get the skill position guys, whereas Ziegler wanted to build in the trenches. And McDaniels basically vetoed that and said, no, our quick pass game with Jimmy Garoppolo is going to offset that pass rush, so we don't need any offensive linemen. That's even worse to me. Like CJ Stroud, the whole CJ Stroud thing, I am a firm believer in system and making the quarterback. And I think Bobby Slowick has done a terrific job. Sure, CJ Stroud might be a generational talent, as Ziegler put him, but would McDaniels have been the right coach? Probably not. That's not any excuse, by the way, to not take a chance on him. Like I'm not saying that I didn't want them to trade up to get CJ Stroud. I'd much rather have CJ Stroud right now than say Tyree Wilson and Aiden O'Connell.
Mm-hmm.
But it, to me, like how it would have played out, to me, it wouldn't have been. I don't think he'd be having the same type of year that he would have had, that he is having currently, than he would with the Raiders. I don't think he would have had that type of year, an MVP type of season. I don't think he'd have that, because I don't think Josh McDaniels really jives with younger players. Like his whole attitude, his style is walking on eggshells. Fear of failure was a huge talking point in that article from Hondo. And I just, God, I'm sniffling now. But I'm rambling on, but my point is, like, everything that Mark Davis has done, hiring McDaniels and Ziegler, this whole situation, like, it's just set the Raiders back so far. Like, I don't know how they can climb out of this, because it's not even a competitive rebuild anymore. They're not competitive. Like they're fine, but they're not competitive. And right now you got a guy in Josh Jacobs who knows how much longer he's going to be on the team. Max Crosby, you're into his contract right now, but you only have so many years left of his. Who knows how long he can play the way that he does. He plays very physical, high motor every game, every snap. How is that sustainable? I don't know. I don't think Davante Adams is going to be there much longer. Your starting quarterback was a guy who was pretty much the fourth option that they wanted. They're just like, whatever. We need a quarterback. Let's just draft one in the fourth round. Like, everything has gone wrong over the past 6 years, really.
Yeah, but you're making it sound like they're the worst team in football, though, right now. They've been competitive.
I think it's hard because the Panthers are doing what they're doing. I'd say the Raiders are the second worst run organization right now. Actually, the Bears are there too. But
well, the latest is that the Bears have been looking at Jim Harbaugh to be their head coach. I haven't heard Harbaugh's name with the Raiders, but that's always the thing with Mark Davis. Are you buying? I saw this pop up on some dumb Dove Kleiman thing. That Mark Davis is really considering bringing back John Gruden.
Oh my God, what a
Jackson Smith-Njigba?
Yeah.
Did he just score to take the lead?
Yeah.
We got a flag. Let's see here.
It's a flag. I don't know, but it looks like the Seahawks are pretty confident.
Oh, I don't know, Jim.
Yeah, it's theirs. Penalty was declined.
Let me give
So-
you a big hug before I call the play.
So what was the question?
Hold on. Did he maintain this catch? Ooh, incomplete.
Nah, that ain't gonna count.
By the way, Cowboys up 20-14 on the Seahawks right before halftime. We'll see if they extend their lead or the
Yeah.
Seahawks get the lead here.
That ain't
So
the
Gruden.
Davidson Gruden thing. Yes, I do.
You think you really think he's trying to get him back?
Yes, I 100% believe that.
Wow.
I think Mark Davis is that stubborn that he would try to get John Gruden back, and he's still pissed about that whole thing, about how that whole thing played out, and how Gruden. Remember, let's not forget, Mark Davis didn't let him go. Gruden resigned.
Yep.
So I truly believe that he would. 100%, I believe that. I don't think he should, but I think it's going to happen.
I don't think it's ever happened in NFL history where a coach was brought back 3 times to a team. Obviously, Joe Gibbs, John Gruden. I don't see it right now. And there's rumors of him being, I guess, like a dark horse candidate to take over Indiana football. I don't know if they've hired a new coach or anything yet, but
they did.
They already did?
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay, then maybe he's not in the mix for that. I mean, I thought Gruden would be more in the mix for the Saints because he's been down there and helping out Derek Carr. I'm not buying that. What I am buying, and I've learned my lesson this time around when Vinny Bonsignore has a scoop on a head coach. Last time he said that Josh McDaniels was going to interview for the Raider job and he's a serious contender for the job. And I said, bullshit. But it was true. This is interesting, though. I don't know if you saw this, Steven. A name that Vinny Bonsignore brought up to be a serious contender to be Raiders head coach is David Shaw. And I've got to know David Shaw. He's done interviews with Tolbert and Copes when he was Stanford's head coach. He's been nice enough to come on a few times since then. He works for NFL Network right now. He's obviously got Raider ties. His father, Willie Shaw, was defense coordinator for a long time. David was actually a quarterback coach or whatever he was. I think he was there with Harbaugh. He knows Harbaugh, obviously. I wouldn't hate that. I actually would be very intrigued with David Shaw being head coach of the Raiders. He offensive play caller, I believe so. I actually don't know if he called the plays when he was at Stanford, but it'd be very interesting to see what he would do. You go from the college ranks to professional football. Maybe he needs to get his feet wet first and maybe be an offensive coordinator before he jumps to head coach again. But I would be very intrigued, and I wouldn't hate the possibility of David Shaw being head coach of the Raiders.
I can't tell you what he would bring from an X's and O standpoint, but I do know what you'd bring as a guy who has a great track record. I think he holds the most wins in Stanford history.
Yep.
And as you mentioned, his Bay Area ties, I think he went to, I'm pretty sure, shout out to Guru. He went to Logan in Union City.
Okay.
Pretty sure he went there. So he has all of that. And, you know, that adds to, I mean, just look at Antonio Pierce, just having that connection adds to something. I don't know what that is, but it adds something to being a head coach, that drive. I wouldn't be too mad at that. I wouldn't be mad at that because the Jim Harbaugh type thing, I mean, that kind of feels like it sounds like a good idea, but it feels like I don't know. It feels like you'd be doing something like bringing back, I don't know, like the Dolphins bringing back Nick Saban or something. I don't know if that's even a good comparison, but like, because obviously Harbaugh was much more successful with the Niners than Saban was with the Dolphins, but that just feels like there's too much risk there. And David Shaw doesn't feel like too much of a risk. The only thing I'd say is, what was he last doing in football? Like, how long has it been?
A season. He's been working for NFL Network this year. He just he resigned just a year ago.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It would be interesting.
Yeah. And didn't he, you know, if I'm mistaken, then, you know, just tell me I'm wrong, but didn't he kind of run a pro style offense with Stanford?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Christian McCaffrey and Andrew Luck and all that.
I mean, the dream would be that he gets the job and Andrew Luck becomes the quarterback coach or something.
He's too busy though. He's too busy. He's
doing what?
He's helping Steve Young at Palo Alto High School with the
No, he's
flag
not. No,
with
he's
the
not.
flag football team.
Is he?
Yeah, well, he was helping their football team last time I saw it. I think he went to a practice for that flag football team too.
By the way, I'm just okay. There we go. Now we got a touchdown. The touchdown to Jackson Smith-Njigba was nullified. So was, I guess, a touchdown to Noah Fant. But now we got a flag. Jesus. All right, we'll see if this stands for DK Metcalf with the Seahawks and Cowboys. I would love to hear that though. Steve Young and Andrew Luck talking about flag football. Hey, you! What are you doing, Andrew? You're all over the place. You gotta shave that beard. Steve, I can't do it, Andrew Luck.
Look, Steve, I don't know if you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about with the Force. I know CP3 talk like a robot. I don't know if he has the Force though, Steve.
Oh, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're a mountain man. You never seen Star Wars before?
I've seen Revenge of the Sith. I've seen Attack of the Clones. I haven't seen any of the old ones though. You got me there, Steve. I haven't seen any of the 4, 5, and 6. I didn't see A New Hope. I didn't see Return of the Death Star, but I knew Jar Jar Binks.
It's pretty good. Seahawks do take the lead. They're up 21-20, and Deron Bland's getting cooked tonight. Defensive Player of the Year, my ass.
Yeah, that cooking is bland.
Yeah, just stick to the Andrew Luck impressions.
Really bland. No seasoning on that.
What did you make of the Eagles-Bills game?
God, how do they find ways to win? I don't know. You texted me I think you said something along the lines of the 49ers now have the blueprint to beat the Eagles. The truth is, I don't think anyone has the blueprint to beat the Eagles. I think they just find ways to win, man. It's just all about that second half determination, that fight, that the way that they talk today. I was very impressed because the Bills. I mean, if we're just going to focus on the Bills game real quick, what stood out to me just as much as the Eagles and kind of how their offense really didn't get going at all until the second half. But what stunned me about the win is Josh Allen played a really, really good game, yet the Eagles were still able to pull it off. Like Josh Allen was playing like the quarterback I think everyone wants Josh Allen to play like, but it's such a game of inches, man. And this is how it feels I think this is what scares any team from wanting to play the Eagles. The Eagles have not been the same this year. I don't care what anyone's defensively. They've been much worse. On offense, it still doesn't feel like everything's clicked, but you get those little things like, I don't know, somehow getting into field goal range or getting into range of the tush push, and even field goal range is 59 yards out where you can tie it and send it to overtime. Then the Bills drive downfield, yet only kick a field goal. And then the Eagles just march right downfield and then find their coverages for the quarterback draw. They're just so smart in that sense. Like my takeaway from that Eagles and Bills game is if the Bills can't beat them in that situation, when the Bills played a very, very good game, then how the hell is anyone going to beat them? I know the 49ers are, I actually, I'll just give away my pick right now. I think the 49ers are going to handle them. I actually think that's going to happen on Sunday. But that game against the Bills is what scares you about taking on the Eagles in the playoffs, because they can win those types of grimy games and they know how to.
I mean, that's why Vegas. I still am baffled by this, that the Niners are 3-point favorites, but it's primarily based on the Eagles having just all of their wins this season. Not all of them, I should say. I actually looked it up today. I think it's 8. 8 of their 10 wins this season have been in one-score games. They survive. They survived that game against the Chiefs. Marquez Valdez-Scantling dropped the pass, and they survived against the Bills. The Bills should have beat them. Mm-hmm. They really should have, because there's no excuse. Josh Allen and Gabe Davis should have scored on that touchdown. I don't know what the hell happened there. I don't know if that's Josh Allen's fault or Gabe Davis's fault. What do you think?
Forgot about that play.
Yeah. And then the 59-yard field goal is insane. Like that, for that to go in, I mean, they're just a team of destiny at this point. Now, you say that until destiny kicks you in the ass. The dumbest thing I thought from that game was Josh Allen was incredible. I know a lot of people are ragging on him because he's not playing well, but the reality is he's leading the league in touchdown passes. Does he have a lot of turnovers? Yes. He just needs to find a coach that can help him with that. But to come away from that game on first take and say, is Josh Allen, a great quarterback anymore? Did you watch the game? He was amazing. He had a great game. Now, there was that bad turnover with James Bradbury that he threw that led to the Eagles' comeback, but I thought that's one of the better games that Josh Allen's ever played. On the flip side, I thought Jalen Hurts was incredible too. He didn't have to do much. He had, not many yards, not a lot of passes, but he made it count when he threw those touchdown passes and those 2 rushing touchdowns. He counted for 5 touchdowns total. I will say, just watching the game though, there are things that I saw that does bode well for the Niners. Case in point, on that opening drive, Jared Cook. Sorry, not Jared Cook. He's long gone. James Cook splits out wide as a wide receiver and beats Nicholas Morrow, who we know from the Raiders, in coverage. The Eagles' linebacking core is terrible. I think it's one of the worst in football. They have injuries. I don't think Zach Cunningham's going to play. They put Nakobe Dean on IR, and all they have now is Nicholas Morrow. What they really needed, and I don't think they'll get it done in time, they really would need Shaq Leonard to sign with them before this game so he could cover Christian McCaffrey. I think Christian McCaffrey is going to slice and dice them when it comes to the pass game. But everything else, the Eagles don't look as good as a year ago, but they just find ways to win. Like I was shocked that they were able to pull away with the win in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the game of the year. I was thoroughly entertained for 2 great quarterbacks. I love the look of the jerseys, the old, the Bills and their whites and the old school Eagles jerseys. Love this look too tonight with the Seahawks wearing the Steve Largent jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
But the Eagles just find a way to win. And I think, honestly, despite the Niners looking like the better team for the majority of the season, I think it really bodes well for the Eagles to be at Philly, to be in the environment that they're going to, that they're accustomed to. It may get rain. It may rain. It may get sloppy. And the Eagles have persevered through a lot of one-score games. And the Niners, on the flip side, have dominated most of their games. But they haven't been in a tight, grinded-out game yet. In those games, they've lost. They lost. They weren't lucky enough to beat the Cleveland Browns. They weren't lucky enough to beat the Vikings. When they get a 2-touchdown lead, they'll kick your ass with the pass rush. There are things, like I said, like they can attack the linebackers. And I think this pass rush, we don't know what's going on with Lane Johnson, but it sounds like he may play. It sounds like fucking Dallas Goedert may play. Hell, Zach Ertz got cut today, and there's talk about him being signed and going to go play for the Eagles again. We'll see about that. But there are things that should bode well in the Niners' favor. But the Eagles, would you say they're more lucky than good, Steven?
No,
Okay.
I'd say they're good. Like, this isn't just.
But they're very lucky too.
They're lucky, but they create that luck themselves. Look, the way they talked this entire week about this game coming up, just with the veterans that they have who understand how to win, who understand that they're never out of it. Like the way that they talked about the Debo trash talk, Colin, geez, got a chip in the back of my throat. Colin, no, I don't want to do that. Colin, James Bradbury trash and all that.
Yeah.
Like the way they responded to it, it's just, it was cliches, but these guys don't seem to take things too personal on the field and really don't feel like they're ever out of a game. And they just have this winning mentality where they'll be aggressive and some good things happen. You can't explain. They have the force. It's something you can't be explained. It's indescribable. They have the force.
No, they do. No, I saw what you did there with Steve Young.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, did you come away thinking that with that game, the Eagles winning 37-34, Did you come away thinking that they're more beatable, or like, God damn, they can't fucking die?
Like the latter. The latter. Because I think that every year with every team, oh man, they're beatable, but they can expose themselves a little bit. But in the end, it comes down to the fourth quarter and what they do in the fourth quarter. 4 second half comebacks. That's nothing to scoff at. Like, I don't know. If I'm the Eagles going up against this game, I do think that the 49ers are a much more talented team, much deeper right now. And you make a good point with all the injured linebackers that they have. They're just not the same defense. Obviously, they got the big guys up front, but if I were the Eagles, I'd want to win the coin toss in the first, right before the opening start of the game.
Yep.
And I wouldn't receive in the second half. I would receive in the first half.
Yes.
I'd receive right in the opening, just get the opening drive and put up 7. Because that's where the 49ers kill you, man. It's like, as soon as they get the ball, it doesn't matter if, the other team's receiving first or not. The 49ers defense almost always gets a stop. But it's when they go up 7-0 on that opening drive, then they get this confidence in them, this conviction that they play with, that these looks that Kyle Shanahan sees. All right, this is how I'm going to expose them. If I was the Eagles, I would want to receive that kickoff right away, put my offense out on the field, put pressure on the defense, and then force the offense to potentially score on the first drive like they have all season long. Because I don't think the Eagles can beat the 49ers in the way that they are. And I forgot what the original question was, but I feel like I made a good point.
No, you basically answered it. I asked, just coming away from that game, do you think that the Eagles are more beatable? Or you're like, God damn, they're just impossible to stop.
They have the force. It's the force.
They have the force. I'm in agreement with you, Steven. I think it needs, case in point last year, the NFC Championship game. I don't know if they won the coin toss, but they scored in the opening possession, and they got bailed out because we all know Devontae Smith dropped a pass on 4th down, but the refs didn't see it, and Kyle Shanahan didn't throw the challenge flag. And then all hell broke loose right after that when Brock Purdy had the fumble from Hassan Reddick and tore his UCL. And I think Brock Purdy has a lot to prove in this game. I think it's there's unwarranted by him. I think it's unfair that he's got to prove something because Deebo Samuel has been talking all offseason since they lost this game that, we would have won this game if Brock Purdy was healthy. Well, let's see it now. Let's see it. And I know it's a different team, but let's see it. I mean, it's barely the same. Javon Hargrave's on the other side now, but let's see it. I think this whole rivalry thing, everyone got up in arms about Hassan Reddick saying a lot of boo-hooing. There was a lot of boo-hooing. There was a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas, but it didn't happen. It was Deebo Samuel all offseason talking about James Bradbury's trash, or Brandon Ayuk talking in that podcast. I remember all this because we went through it, saying that the Chiefs are going to expose the Eagles' weak defense, and I see it now. He actually was spot on because they did. There are holes in the Eagles' defense, but I do still wonder about Brock Purdy being down in a game if he's able to come back. I wonder if he's I do think that they have the offense to do that, but I haven't seen it yet. So I want to see what they can do if they have to match the Eagles score for score. Let's say this defense, let's say if it's a repeat, the last 2 weeks, then the Eagles are down 17-7 at halftime. They find a way to come back from that. It's pretty much they've been sluggish the first half. They don't get down by too much, but then they creep back into the game. So I want to see what happens with that. And Deebo's got to back up the trash talk. I'm sure Bradbury will be on him at times, or Darius Slay, and Deebo's got to back it up. I know he's kind of walked it back a little bit, especially when he went on the Zach Gelb show and didn't answer a question about Philly and everything. But it's going to be interesting. This is going to be a fantastic game come Sunday, and I can't wait for it. I love last week's game. Bills Eagles. That's going to be hard to top, but I think this will be more of a low scoring game. I don't know which way I'm going yet, but I will say this too. Sorry to go off. I'm going on a long tangent here.
That's
but
okay.
When you're 10-1 and you're underdogs at home, that could galvanize the team too. Don't get it twisted. We all remember when the Eagles put on the masks when they were the number 1 seed. They put the dog masks on because they felt disrespected that they were home dogs to the Atlanta Falcons. That's because Carson Wentz was out for the season. But when you have the MVP favorite and you have the best record in football and you're home dogs, that's going to piss them off. So that adds to this whole thing too.
Mm-hmm. No, it's going to be hostile there. Very curious to see how the 49er fan base shows up to Lincoln Financial too. Is it going to be like last year? Felt like there was quite a bit of red. I don't know. The Niner fans really have shown out everywhere this year. I want to go back to your thing about Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan. I mean, we echoed it last week, but it's not my question with Brock Purdy. It's Kyle Shanahan. Can he actually coach up a game when they're down by, I don't know, say 8 points in the fourth quarter? Because I mention this every week, but we always forget that whenever they're blowing these teams out, the one stat goes away. The Kyle Shanahan is 0-37 when down by 8 points in the fourth quarter or whatever it is, or 1-37, some crazy number like that. He doesn't know how to coach when he's down. And like Brock Purdy.
Do you believe that?
I do.
Okay.
I do, because the way that, like, the last podcast talked a lot about Steve Young too, and how he commented on Brock Purdy, the force, but said that he's not the prototypical quarterback like CJ Stroud and Jalen Hurts, where they're just going to use their size and their strength and they're going to roll out of the pocket, then throw it 60 yards. Like, that's not going to happen with Purdy. They need 3 plays to get, to get points. Purdy needs 5, because that's just how he is. But I also think that's how Kyle Shanahan works. I don't think Kyle Shanahan works with big explosive plays. I think he tries to matriculate the ball down the field, take time off the clock. I don't think he knows how to coach when he's down. And I think he gets a little flustered in the fourth quarter. Like, and with that, the offensive line just sometimes it seems to break down too, whenever they're down by as much as they are. It's kind of wild how it works out. But look, I really, but to me, I don't see this Eagles-Niners game going that way. I just think the Niners are rolling right now. It seems to be, it just feels like it's trending in the way that the 49ers are actually they're going to make the sports bettors, or the bookmakers rather, actually look pretty damn smart. Because everyone's wondering why the 49ers are favored on the road. That's just because they've been killing teams. And I think that they're going to do the same against the Eagles.
Okay. So you think it's more inclined to be a blowout as opposed to a close game?
I do. I really do. I think they're going to just I really think they're going to take the top off the defense early. I think Brandon Ayuk is going to have a big game, because like what I've seen from this Eagles team too, they're not very good when it comes to zone defense.
No, they're not.
There seems to be a lot of green grass wide open, and there's nobody in the NFL who knows how to scheme up against a zone defense like Kyle Shanahan and get guys open. So I'm expecting Ayuk to be open a lot, take the top off there, put pressure on the safeties too. Though I am looking forward though to how the defensive line for the 49ers does. I know we didn't really want to preview this game coming up, I guess, but
we kind of did.
but we did. We did. And because that's all anyone's talking about.
No, I know it's the biggest matchup this weekend. I'll save this. I have a lot of question marks with the tush push this weekend and brotherly shove. Have both teams prepared for this long enough, knowing that they're going to face each other? And I'll also, Adam Kaplan shot this down, but I asked Adam Copeland to bring this up to him when we had him on. Adam Kaplan, NFL insider, who's in Philly. I want him to ask about Rashad Penny, because to me, I stupidly drafted him. But also, it's just weird to me that he hasn't been used. And he doesn't believe that he'll be used in this game at all. And that's probably the case.
He hasn't been used all season. Why would they use him now?
Because maybe a bigger back is something that can counteract the Niners' defense.
I think it's because you've been trying to get Rashad Penny to play all season long.
Well, it doesn't make any sense.
This is the time to do it. You've been talking about it since before the season.
Well, I got to be frank. Like, why are they signing the guy? They don't even use him. I guess they hated him at training camp, but wasn't the whole point, like, he's more of a goal line back? He's bigger. Like, you don't have, like, this is where I think the tush push / brotherly shove. I think that, I know you think he's a meathead. I think there are interesting things of Nick Sirianni, and I think he's a meathead at times too. I don't think he really hasn't the team has gone by with their talent. They're 10-1 because they're an extremely talented football team. But I also think they haven't changed much from last year, and they're expecting to do the same thing. And Shane Steichen really schemes it up very well with the Colts, and that's what they're missing right now. They're just better than the opposing team. Jason Kelsey lines up against whatever nose tackle and just beats the shit out of him when he just nose dives right into him, and that's how they power through and get the first down. They're not doing anything. They're not doing anything special. They're just better than most teams. They have more talent, but the Niners have comparable talent. So, yeah, it's fascinating. I think this is kind of shaping up to be like no one's talking about the rest of the NFC. It's these two teams. People are talking about the Lions, and we kind of lost faith in them a little bit since they lost to the Packers. We'll see about this Cowboy team.
See,
Right now,
this is why no one takes them seriously, though, because like right now the Cowboys are losing at home 21-20 to the Seahawks, who everyone thought was falling flat at this point of the season and was spiraling downward.
But a better team. The Cowboys have beat up on the shitty teams, and this is, Seahawks, despite losing, 2 in a row right now, they've been fairly well this season. So this is a game the Cowboys should win, but right now they're struggling a little bit, but they're only down by 1. So we will talk more about the Eagles and Niners game on Saturday because this is the game of the year, and it's got a lot of playoff hype already. Let's do some quick hits.
Oh.
What did you think of the Jags-Texans game? Did you watch any of that?
I can't remember.
It's been so long.
It's been since Sunday, man. I can't remember any of it. Was that the one with the doink?
Yes.
Okay, I remember that. No, what I saw from that game, because I had it in the corner, was Trevor Lawrence looking like Trevor Lawrence again. That guy was making some unbelievable throws, but I think these are just going to be. I said that other than the Bills and the Eagles, that was going to be the game of the week, and I just think you're going to see these two teams a lot in the future. Like I think the Texans and the Jaguars are really going to be mainstays in the NFC, and Trevor Lawrence, even though he got off to a slower start this season, he still makes some unbelievable throws that make sense as to why he was a number 1 overall pick. And then CJ Stroud, I think my favorite part about this game was watching CJ Stroud and Tank Dell and just watching their connection really take off. Like it's fun to watch those two. They're one of the more electric duos right now going in football.
No, definitely. And I've been very impressed. I love the play where CJ Stroud faked it on the goal line and ran it in himself. The Texans have a lot of talent. The Jaguars have more right now. Just CJ Stroud's just coming into his own, and I can't wait for these two quarterbacks to battle it out for years to come. But right now, the Jaguars are the better team. Texans got the best of them earlier in the season, but this was a great game. Like, besides Eagles and Bills, this was probably the most entertaining game of this past week.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley had a great game. Yeah, just so many great throws by Trevor Lawrence. He was very impressive in that game. So was CJ Stroud. So nothing, honestly, I thought the Texans were to go, tie that game up. If they just had a better kicker, they would have made that field goal and they go to overtime, and who knows what happens. The Jaguars or the Texans could have been taking the AFC South Division lead right now. But they're a year behind, but they'll be there, and it'll be interesting going forward. But right now, the Jaguars are very interesting in the AFC. So you got the Jaguars, you got the Chiefs, and you got the Ravens and the Dolphins, all with 3 losses. The Ravens have more losses or more wins than all of them at 9-3. They just haven't had the bye week yet. Who do you think is the best team in the AFC right now, Steven? You think it's still the Chiefs, or you think it's somebody else?
Chiefs.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. Chiefs, no doubt.
All right. Fair enough. Derek Carr.
Oh, wait. Sorry. I'm a professional.
I think he's having his worst year.
Yeah.
That pick 6 he threw to Jesse Bates in the Falcons game, that was brutal. And they didn't muster any offense. Like, Derek Carr, I think, looked better with the Raiders last year than he's done with the Saints this year. You agree with me or no? I don't know what his stats are, but
I haven't watched him as closely, but it's the same issues. Like I look up and I see him having a 300-yard game, and he pops up on Red Zone or whatever. Then you see like, oh, a nice There's a player open 30 yards downfield, and Carr just threw a strike to him right into his breadbasket. That's what he's good at. But the thing I couldn't help but notice, red zone.
Yeah.
The Saints 0 for 5.
Yeah.
And
all groupie.
And AJ Cruz, I don't think my laugh was more directed at Carr, but more so at the people who told me I was an idiot that Carr didn't that Carr needed to go. So I think that was more just feeling validated.
No, but I
no
think
disrespect to Derek Carr, but also one thing, he went on a rant. He went on a little rant.
I heard.
Said a lot about nothing, and fans are pissed.
Well, apparently he dodged a question, or he had like a Paul Gutierrez situation with somebody in New Orleans where he didn't like the tone of a question. Why don't you pump that back there?
Yeah.
Do you have video of that by chance, Steven?
I could find it. Hang
okay.
on.
No rush or anything by that, but just looked it up. Derek Carr has 10 touchdowns on the season, 10 and 5 picks. Last year he had 24 touchdown passes. I think he had a better season with the Raiders. Like, I don't know. On the flip side, the Falcons just did enough to win in that game. Desmond Ritter's not the answer, but their defense is really good, and they're finally giving the ball to Bijan Robinson. But I can easily see the Saints also winning that division. I think that division is prime for an 8-9 division winner, and that's like the Cowboys are your top wild card seed, and they kick the crap out of the NFC South division winner in the first round of the playoffs. So, yeah, Derek Carr. I'm not saying the Raiders are playing any better. Jimmy Garoppolo was putrid, but Derek Carr does not look good with the Saints right now. And I don't know if Dennis Allen, if they don't win the division, if he'll survive. It could be a spot for John Gruden, but not looking good for Derek Carr right now.
No, it's just it's the same story, man. And was the video that you wanted about the red zone issues? And you're just like, I'm not going to tell you.
Sure.
Sure.
I actually don't know. I just heard that Derek Carr got snippy with a reporter this week.
He did, yeah.
All right, here we go.
The way that though, like when you guys are moving the ball, but you aren't moving it in the last 20. Like how do you marry those two thoughts together?
I don't know, man. You got to ask Coach Pete and DA. Myself, when you ask us, we're not going to be able to give you all the answers that everyone wants to hear on things we're trying to work to do better, schematics and player and all those kind of things. And so you're going to keep asking the same question. I'm going to keep giving a lot of words and no answer, because I'm not going to tell you.
Okay. Also, I got weird deja vu because that looks like the same background like in Napa for the Raiders.
And he still does this thing, and I don't know. I don't want to cramp on a man's style here.
He looks skinnier here.
A little bit, but he's still doing the sleeve cut off on the hoodie. You don't need to cut off the sleeves, man. Just leave it. Leave the sleeves. Good Lord. He's been doing this since the beginning. No one does that. I did that once. I was a freshman in college. It looked stupid. And I don't do it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you're ruining a good hoodie.
All right, man. I got a hoodie. I'm going to cut the sleeves off.
I gotta show off the baby oil.
I just think leave the sleeves, Derek. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. Speaking of hoodies and sleeves, Belichick lost to Tommy DeVito. Hey, Paisan.
Stupid.
And it was only 10-7, but I mean the Patriots lost 10-6 earlier this year too. I mean, good for Tommy DeVito. He's what New York wants. Like, God, I cannot wait for next year. If Daniel Jones is the starting quarterback for the Giants, there's then like, hey, it was Tommy DeVito here. This Daniel Jones, this Danny Dimes guy, fuck out of here. It's Tommy DeVito, baby.
This is so fun. I love the NFL being on a honeymoon with Tommy DeVito. He's perfect. He's just the character they needed. Just the character for New York.
Oh, perfect. He's perfect.
His parents, his dad, his family doing the sign. Ugh. I love it.
Yeah. Doing too fucking much, but I like it.
No, they're doing just the right amount.
No, I know, but
family needs to stay.
It's the good amount of too much that we like. like in the mafia movies, we always make fun of. Hey,
Yay.
you're doing too fucking much. But
Hey, Tommy D. All right, you're wearing sleeves. You don't need to be wearing sleeves out there. Shut up, Uncle Mike. You're a Jets fan.
yeah, no, I want to see more like they always do. Like I wouldn't mind, since they've already ruined a good thing with Football Lives. Let's do a Football Life on Tommy DeVito.
Please.
Hilarious. Just like 3 games into his career, whatever it is, just interview his family and just like his uncle, like you just said, just be like, so what do you think of Tommy DeVito's what do you think of Tommy's success? He's not that good. What do you mean? No, I could have been better. I mean, he's all right. 10 fucking points. Give me a fucking break. Mac Jones, Jesus. But Mac Jones, I thought he was gonna start, and he did, and he looks terrible. And then Bailey Zappi came in, and he's not any better. Are the Patriots in line to get Caleb Williams right now? I don't know. They've only won 2 games, and I don't know what's going to happen the rest of the season. But I think it's time. I think everyone's waiting for Belichick to, as he did in that video, awkwardly leave the Patriots facility with no shirt on from a one-night stand. In this case, it's been 20 years of great football, but it's time to go. And most likely go to the Commanders. That's what I think is going to happen, where he could be head coach / general manager. But I think it's time to end things with Bill Belichick in New England.
Yeah, we always talk about how the mighty have fallen. They've won. This is what happens with teams that have been good for 2 decades. Well, the Patriots haven't been good for a little bit. I don't think we expected them to fall this hard.
It's bad.
Like, it's really, really bad. There's nothing to look to in that program.
And Mike, dude, NFL teams are not programs. They're franchises.
Sorry.
Mac Jones looked good the first week of the season against the Eagles, and then ever since then he's looked terrible. He looked good against the Bills. That's a one. They've had 2 wins this season, one against the Jets and one against the Bills. But I didn't think they'd be this bad. This is bad in New England. And I think everybody's ready to go.
Yeah, like franchises are supposed to come down, right? But not like this.
Yeah,
they're supposed to. What franchises do, they're at the top of a mountain and they go skiing down, but they make us, they have a smooth stop, and then they get back on that little chairlift and get back to the top of the mountain. Patriots are nowhere near that chairlift. They crashed at the very bottom, and they still haven't gotten up of that ski slope. As I go on with this metaphor here,
about to say, like, you trying to go like snowboarding or something soon?
I'd love to. So, yeah, I'd love to, but they're nowhere near the chairlift and getting back to the top, right? All these other teams in the AFC East, they're about halfway up right now. Dolphins, halfway up. Mike McDaniel laughing on the chairlift as Bill Belichick's getting tended to by the resort's medical staff. Then
stop with this analogy. Just stop. Just stop.
The Patriots got their tongue stuck to a frozen pole and are trying to pull it off as the other AFC East teams are on that chairlift, getting to the top of the mountain.
That chairlift. That reminds me of what was that? What was that snowboarding movie or the skiing movie? Whatever it was.
Johnny
Out Cold.
Tsunami.
No, Out Cold. Remember? You remember Out Cold with Zach Galifianakis before he got big?
No.
It's like a stoner skiing movie.
Huh.
Anyway, that came to mind for some reason.
Out Cold?
Out Cold. Used to be on Comedy Central all the time.
So it's a movie.
It's a movie, baby.
From 2001. We're going to look this up. Hang on.
Out Cold.
All right. Well, I need to look at the old IMDb page here.
Zach Galifianakis is in it.
I'm seeing the page and I'm going to it right now. Wow, it's got Thomas Lennon, the guy who played Roy from The Office, this dude who doesn't look bald here, but he's actually bald. Jason London.
And Zach Galifianakis, baby.
I
remember my obscure early 2000s.
David Koechner was around in 2000. I guess Anchorman was 2003.
Oh, he's in that? Whammy.
Wow.
Also, just going through other things from the NFL this past week. Is it time to start buying the Broncos?
No,
Okay.
no. I'm never buying.
Ste-
Okay.
Steven,
All right.
they've
I'll
allowed 80 points since giving up 70 points.
I'll acknowledge that they have improved. Russell Wilson looks competent. He doesn't look like we're far from calling that the worst trade. Like now it's looking like Deshaun Watson and the Browns is up to that. But I also think on this little win streak that they're on, the 5-game win streak, just look at the turnover differential. Turnovers have been huge for them.
Yeah.
And they've been doing the same as far as the advanced analytics and everything, but it's the turnovers that have made the difference over the past 5 games. And included, though, is Russell Wilson just looking decent. He's not looking great, but he's looking decent.
Yeah. Sure,
they've turned things around, but I don't think their ceiling is that high. I think they're on that chairlift, dude. I think they're like if their ceiling was a mountain, they're 90% up that chairlift.
You're gonna ride this thing into the ground, or should I say the snow? No, I mean I'm not buying them. I don't think they're a playoff team, but they're playing good football, and I think that they're. Yeah, Steven, they're on the chairlift with.
They're on the chairlift, man. They're like 90%
Sean Payton and Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Chargers. I mean, Jesus. It's pretty clear the Chargers should have drafted Zay Flowers instead of Quentin Johnston.
Yeah,
like that guy. Zay Flowers is ready to go. I even said that. Like he reminds me of Antonio Brown. Quentin Johnston reminds me of Mike Williams, and Mike Williams is not there, and Quentin Johnston might as well not be there. His rookie campaign has been terrible, and Justin Herbert, I think he's a great quarterback, but I don't know right now. And I think he needs a lot of help. I don't think Kellen Moore is helping him out a lot, with being his offensive coordinator. I would like to see him get a second season with him, but I don't know. It doesn't look good right now, and I think it's time. You best believe, I don't know if they'll do it, but if Brandon Staley and the Chargers lose to the Patriots this week, they should fire Brandon Staley. He should have been fired 3 weeks ago, but now we're doing this.
Yeah. I guess they're going to be cleaning house. Like heads are going to roll with Los Angeles. So I think this is, you're not going to be seeing for much longer Brandon Staley working with this coaching staff.
No, but Khalil Mack having a career season, 13 sacks, 2 away from his career high.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
You should respect the man instead of saying Max Crosby's better.
Why?
Because they're both great players.
Never have I ever said that Khalil Mack's not a good player.
Never have you ever?
Yeah. Never have I ever said that he's not a good player.
No,
I've said
you just like Max Crosby more.
I just told you that there's a chance. I've been saying for the past couple of years, I don't know, Max Crosby might surpass him. I'd be feeling pretty good about this, but you know what though? I think Khalil Mack right now, if his career was a mountain in the snow, I think Khalil Mack's kind of he's riding down right now.
A diamond in the snow.
He's riding down. It's a blue square level. And if you know the levels, it's a blue square. It's a blue square slope, and he's right.
You got it.
He's cruising down it right now.
Yeah, no, he's the snow is slowly evaporating in his NFL career.
Damn, that's a harsh way to put it.
Yeah, I guess so. Actually,
you really took it to a dark level, man.
It's not a dark level. I'm just saying, like, he's not the same player he used to be, but he's still pretty effective.
Yeah, he's still pretty damn strong. Strength can play in the NFL.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
You call this one, Steven. I did not see the Vikings losing to the Bears, but does it seem like kind of I'm trying to think of my own analogy here. The rocket ship of the Pastronaut is slowly running out of fuel.
Hell yeah,
Josh Dabbs.
Oh yeah. The Minnesota Vikings have hit their Apollo 13. Minnesota, we have a problem.
Yeah, 4 interceptions, kind of rough. They'll get Justin Jefferson back probably by next week, but this was bound to happen where the shine was going to fall off, or however you want to phrase it. Just Josh Dobbs was playing great, just got there, but eventually he's got to catch up with him with not knowing the playbook very well. He's playing off great talent and the talent of the team, but Chicago's actually playing pretty well recently. They got a lot of interceptions against the Lions. They picked off Jared Goff 3 times, and then they picked off Josh Dobbs 4 times. So the Bears are actually playing pretty well defensively. Offensively, not so much.
They made Josh Dobbs look like the Pastronaut, except he's Harlan Williams in Rocket Man.
Oh, okay. That's a movie I can reference with you.
Yeah. The
Great
monkey.
movie. Oh, I remember the monkey.
It's a great movie.
Okay, better Harlan Williams performance. Rocket Man, the short little cameo he has in Dumb and Dumber. You get the hell out of here. Toss him back, Grandpa's cough syrup, huh? Or the guy that's pitching 7-minute abs in There's Something About Mary. Or 8-minute abs, whatever it is.
I think you'd have to throw him in Half Baked up there too.
Oh, God, I forgot about that.
Yeah. But
What's the name of the horse?
I don't remember the name of the
Butterscotch.
Actually, the one from There's Something About Mary is a dark horse in this conversation. Number one,
You know that old limerick.
number one
Seven monkeys on my uncle's ranch, picking sunflower seeds. You know that old limerick.
but there's nothing that's going to top that scene from Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, that's great.
The entire scene. No, it's a cardigan, but thanks for noticing.
Ah,
They
come
stand
on, you
full
little
over. Yeah.
pumpkin pie haired.
You pumpkin pie haircutted freak. Come on.
Whatever happened to him?
I don't know.
Yeah. Should have been an Out Cold.
Should have been. I'm sure he was. He probably had
No,
a
he-
cameo.
No, he wasn't.
Besides, you know what? You know what though? Movies nowadays, there's no comedy movies that deserve Harlan Williams in there because there's
Damn right,
nothing that's
Steven.
funny anymore.
Damn right. Okay, so the Cowboys are just scored. I didn't see how they scored, but the Seahawks are up 28-27. Oh, Tony Pollard touchdown. Hey,
So,
nice,
I
nice
don't
little
know if
flip
you-
there.
I don't know if you noticed, but in the bet that I texted you, you'll see the word edited on the bottom because I changed
Oh.
my over to under, but I switch it back. I go over.
in the middle right now.
Yeah.
You can't do that while the game's going on.
Why not?
Why the hell would you do that? That's not fair.
So I can win.
That's stupid. I'm not allowing that.
All right, fine. I tried.
I don't think the Ernies or Skills or AJ Cruz, the porn bots, would allow that either.
Shout out to the porn bots.
Don't you sleep on our fans. Real quick.
ACO 80976453.
She's a big fan. She's a big fan. Loves the John Dickinson song too. Jackass of the week. We haven't done this in a while, but I wanted to do this week because David Tepper, this guy,
Ooh.
he comes out and does the press conference. Well, first of all, just firing Frank Reich in his first season, 11 games into his tenure as Panthers head coach, is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You got to give him at least a season to figure things out. And if you didn't like him in the offseason, then fire him. But to be so angry that Bryce Young is not playing like C.J. Stroud and firing Frank Reich is ridiculous to me. And it's pretty clear, I thought this, that Frank Reich and Josh McCown wanted C.J. Stroud.
Yep.
It was pretty clear in that pro day. They were like, we can't wait for you to come to Carolina, whatever it was going to be. And it seems to me like David Tepper wanted Bryce Young, and they vetoed the thing, and now he's telling Frank Reich, you got to make it work, and Frank Reich wasn't down with it. But, Bryce Young, still a good talent, but just not, sometimes it takes a year to figure things out. And I think Frank Reich's a good head coach, but maybe not doing the right play calling. I don't know. Regardless, I think it's stupid. I thought that David Tepper's press conference was really stupid, and I think that he is a jackass.
Nice. So that's your jackass of the week.
I just think he's done a lot of dumb things since becoming the owner of the Panthers.
I can agree with that.
He's fired. I mean, like, what are you going to do? Go get, Steve Wilkes now? You told him no last year, and the players wanted him, so it's too late on that. You could have had the opportunity. Like, there's a whole list. Like, they could have signed, or they could have traded Brian Burns for 2 first-round picks to the Rams, but they didn't want to do that deal. They still haven't signed him. They made the move for Baker Mayfield when they had Sam Darnold. They got Sam Darnold. Just a bunch of bullshit. I think this owner is the type of owner that annoys the crap out of me, that just wants to be involved and doesn't know football. And so now he's going to take his anger out on the coach when I think it's unwarranted. They should have given Bryce Young and Frank Reich more time to grow together, but I think it's stupid to fire him.
I like that. It's a good jackass of the week. I have.
And by the way, sorry, just one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
You hear who he wants as head coach?
Who?
Greg Olson.
Oh, nice.
You imagine that at his press conference? They call me G-Reg.
Yep. That's his entrance music. Oh my God. What she didn't know.
I'm still waiting for Dove Kleiman to find that song and be like, should Greg Olson be allowed on Fox broadcast?
One day he'll find that and he will try to stir some sort of controversy.
Some fucking 14-year-old kid, Dove Kleiman.
Still gives us the news though. Okay, I got one jackass of the week, and this jackass impacted our show yesterday. But the one jackass, and you know what? I'll preface it by saying, if this person had like a mental illness or something, then I feel terrible for them. But you know what? Let's just take the sentimental stuff out of it, and let's just stop looking at this as human beings, and let's look at this as jackasses ourselves. Jackass of the week goes to the guy running down the BART tunnel, closing all the Transbay tunnels, forcing Derek to, I don't know what you did, but forcing Derek to not do the podcast on a Wednesday, forcing us to do it on a Thursday when we got football going on.
I know.
This guy, hey, you know what's
here's a guy who runs around BART tracks.
You know what's quicker than walking down the BART tunnel? Hopping on the train, then using the train to go down that tunnel.
Or getting on a chairlift.
How about that?
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, I don't know where he's at as far as the mountain of life. You know, is he on the chairlift up? But right now, was crashing down.
You know who's ascending on that chairlift of life?
Who's that?
Deron Bland. He just got his 8th interception.
Oh.
After Al Michaels apparently dogged him earlier in the game, where he was like, yeah, he's NFC Defensive Player of the Month. They're not counting the last day of the month, apparently.
I mean, that's warranted.
Well done, Al.
That's warranted.
Yeah.
Would you walk in the tunnel if you had the chance?
No.
Why not?
A BART tunnel?
Yeah.
Are the trains running?
No.
Oh, just to see what it's like?
Just see what it's like.
I'm not a rat guy.
Yep. I would not do that. I've seen way too many zombie movies. Seen Cloverfield. Don't you dare go into an empty train track tunnel. Unless you're the Italian Job and you're about to pull a job where you got a heist where you're trying to blow up the road above the train tracks and have a bunch of gold bricks fall down. And then Mark Wahlberg's like, oh, you want to see what's inside? Like,
I also didn't, I mean, that's a great movie, but I wasn't a big fan of Fiats as the getaway cars.
It's Mini Coopers.
Oh, sorry.
Freaking dude, come on.
That's a solid flick. I like a Handsome Rob and
Seth Green.
Is that like Seth Green's last speak, or like, time he's been in a movie where you see his face?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, look, man, Italian Job, we watched it the other day. Don't know why, but we watched it the other day. Solid flick.
No, great movie. I'm not sure I'm buying Edward Norton with a mustache, but yeah.
And the goatee. It brings me to it brings me to back to the 2000s, especially when there's the one that during the heist when
everyone was trying to copy Ocean's 11.
Facts. And there's a Pepsi Blue sign billboard that they use as part of the heist. That screams 2000s to me.
Oh, definitely. Pepsi Blue, yeah.
Pepsi Blue, dog.
Real quick before we get out of here, 2 things I wanted to bring up. So, Aaron Rodgers not cleared, but he's in the 20-day open window where he could practice with the team. 21-day window, whatever they call it in the NFL. And with the idea that he come back at some point, this is insane. And this happened a few years ago where Cam Akers came back from a torn Achilles, a training camp, and came back for a playoff run with the Rams. But fast forward to now, Cam Akers tore his Achilles again. I think this is rushed.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see Aaron Rodgers get hurt again. And I don't think that this offensive line is very good right now. I don't think this Jets team is very good right now. Just wait till next year. It sounds like everybody's going to be retained. No one's losing their jobs because of Aaron Rodgers, except for Zach Wilson, most likely. So just wait. Like we don't need this.
I just know that if I ever tear my Achilles, bring me to the nearest Dolphin Cove immediately.
Exactly. And
Fill me
you
a bed.
can get a chairlift your way up there.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes. Chairlift up and down, just so I could hear dolphins. Apparently, that was the remedy with Aaron Rodgers in the
Dolphin
healing
sex?
process. Hearing it, yes. Dolphin noises.
No,
As said on
I brought
ESPN.
that up months ago. That's the most insane thing I've heard.
Yeah. Just bring me to the nearest Dolphin Cove immediately, please. If I
Did you
ever tear
watch-
my Achilles.
Did you watch the last episode? Speaking of torn Achilles, did you watch the last episode of Hard Knocks?
I didn't.
Okay. The way they build up Jalen Phillips, the pass rusher for the Dolphins, I mean, they do a whole profile on him. They talk about his relationship with Bradley Chubb, how good of a guy he is. Just watch the episode, but of course, Lee Schreiber, you know what's coming, but Lee Schreiber in his narration goes, Jalen Phillips is having a career day, and nothing could stop him except the turf
Oh,
of
man.
MetLife Field. And I was like, oh, that's so brutal. That's so fucking brutal.
Yeah. I wouldn't want my injury to play out like that on Hard Knocks if I had the choice.
And they show him crying and everything. It was tough to watch, honestly. Like he's obviously he had to approve that, and they show him like, understanding the situation and coming to terms with it. But in the moment, like, it's tough to watch. Like, I thought Hard Knocks went too far when they showed Hugh Jackson crying in his office when his grandma died or his mother died. This was a little much, I thought.
Jalen Phillips is one of those just freakish specimens in the NFL.
Yeah.
I am not ashamed to say with guys like him, Myles Garrett. I mean, if they have their shirts off, like straight up, I watch in awe. Like I just don't get it. I don't get these types of people, how they are so big, so massive, yet completely chiseled. Although if you've listened to Nick Bosa and the way that he just goes about his business, it sounds like he has a very strict regimen. So it makes sense as to why his body looks like that. It doesn't come by accident, but
Dude, him and Brock Purdy going to bed at 8:00 at night.
yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah, I know, right?
I kind of feel that way these days lately, just as I get older.
Well, I have to, but I can wake up at 3
Yeah,
or
it
4.
comes with the job.
Yeah, get better, Bosa. Wake up at 4, then talk
Yeah.
to the media.
Come on.
I sleep for 12 hours. All right, cool. Just kidding. Nick, I didn't say anything. You're really great. You're awesome. I love you, buddy. That's what I'd say.
All right. I think
Right.
this chairlift has come to an end as far as the show.
We are crashing down at this ski slope of a podcast.
All right. Everybody enjoy the rest of this game. The Seahawks are currently beating the Cowboys just by 1. I think they just stopped the Cowboys on a 4th and 2, but we'll see how this game ends. We'll see what happens with the Warriors game. This has been on for an hour. I have no idea what the score is because I've been watching this football game. What is the score of the Warriors game? Let me see real quick. Oh, they're up by 10, 35-25. Good. We'll see where it goes. And we'll be back on Saturday. We'll figure out a time because your boy Derek here needs to watch his Longhorns win the Big 12 championship. But maybe I could do it during the game if it's a blowout.
I don't want to do a podcast with you if you're talking in third person.
That's fair. I need to see Texas. I don't even know who they're playing. Oklahoma State. Yeah, we'll figure out a time, but we can still probably do it at 11. It'll probably be fine.
Okay.
Don't you worry. Derek won't be talking in the third person.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay.
We'll review. We'll get more in depth. I think we did a pretty good job of it tonight, but we'll cover anything we didn't with 49ers, Eagles, and the rest of the games. Thanks to everybody watching and listening. Steven, say what you always say.
thank you all so much for sticking through this as we slide on the snow that is life. All right, it's just our opinion, man. Sorry. I don't want to end the podcast that way. It's just our opinion, man.